Let me break your belief system for a second, because what I'm about to say will sound insane to most people. Studying for 12 hours a day, every day, for over a year is easier than you think. Not just possible, not just impressive, easier. And the reason most people can't believe that is simple. You've been brainwashed to think focus equals suffering. That discipline means pain. That hard work must always feel hard. That's a lie. And I didn't just prove it wrong with motivation or hacks. I lived it, day after day. For over a year, 12 hours a day, zero burnout, zero breakdowns. And what's wild, it felt automatic, like eating, like breathing, like something I didn't even have to push myself for anymore. But let me tell you what people usually assume. Oh, you must be built different. You must have insane willpower. You must be one of those rare, super disciplined people. In fact, I used to be the opposite, lazy, addicted to distractions, scrolling my life away, lying to myself with excuses like, I'll start tomorrow. I'm just not in the mood today. 2 hours is enough if I do it properly. And I hated it, because deep down, I knew the truth. I wasn't tired. I wasn't busy. I wasn't incapable. I was just mentally weak, because I was programmed that way. The world around you, the algorithms, the games, the notifications, they are all designed to train your brain to crave ease and avoid effort. But what happens when you break that pattern? What happens when you flip the wiring of your own brain? What happens when you make your mind associate pleasure with studying and pain with distractions? Everything changes. The moment that switch flipped in me, studying stopped being this uphill battle. Instead, it became a game I wanted to play, a world I wanted to stay in. Because every time I sat down to study, it felt like I was stepping into my power. And here's what no one tells you. It's not about forcing yourself to study longer. It's about becoming the kind of person for whom studying longer is natural. You don't push, you become. That's the truth I discovered. And once I did, 12-hour study days didn't require effort. They were the default. Not because I was grinding, not because I had superhuman focus, but because I retrained my nervous system to crave growth, to crave silence, to crave mastery. And suddenly, the distractions that used to control me, they felt disgusting, like junk food after a long detox. I want you to sit with this for a second. If you can binge watch a series for 6 hours, if you can scroll on social media for hours without blinking, you already have the focus. You already have the mental stamina. You're just feeding it to the wrong beast. And if you can flip that channel, if you can reroute that obsession toward knowledge, success, and self-control, then yes, 12 hours a day becomes not only possible, but inevitable. So no, I'm not here to give you motivation. I'm here to show you that the version of you that's addicted to studying already exists. You've just buried him under noise, doubt, and comfort. Once you remove that noise, once you silence the addiction to distractions, what's left is pure fire, the kind that burns for hours, every single day, without being forced. You want to know how I did it? Good, because the real training starts now. Now, here's the truth that most people will never accept. Studying for 12 hours a day has nothing to do with motivation. It has everything to do with manipulating your environment, your brain chemistry, and your identity until studying becomes your default operating system. Let me explain how I did it, not in theory, but in reality. Because I'm not smarter than you. I'm not more focused than you. I just made my brain fall in love with studying. 1. I eliminated every competing option. Without mercy, most people try to study while leaving a back door open. Phone on, tabs open, notifications buzzing, and they expect to focus? That's a joke. I knew my brain was weak in the beginning, so I created a system where distractions weren't just hard to access. They were painful to even think about. I didn't disable Instagram, I deleted it. I didn't turn off notifications. I used app blockers so intense, I literally couldn't open anything but my study tools. Why? Because willpower is fake. Environment wins, every single time. Once the distractions were gone, studying wasn't a battle anymore. It was the only path forward. 2. I manipulated my dopamine system. Like a lab scientist, your brain is a dopamine addict, period. And if you don't control where it gets dopamine from, you lose the game. So instead of waiting until after studying to feel good, I made the act of studying rewarding. I used tiny dopamine hooks, ticking off a task in Notion, watching short aesthetic study vlogs before sessions, switching subjects every 45 to 60 minutes, using Italki to have real conversations with people in a new language and feel instantly smart and connected. Each of these kept the reward loop inside the study zone, not outside of it. And after a while, my brain started craving that zone. Studying became where my brain felt most alive. 3. I rebuilt my identity, from lazy to addicted to growth. Here's what no productivity book will tell you. You can't study like a top student while identifying as a lazy one. You can't act like a beast if you still see yourself as a slave to distraction. So I asked myself, who do I want to become? And then I started acting like him, before I felt like him. That version of me woke up early, didn't negotiate with the mind, studied until the work was done, looked at study hours not as effort, but as fuel. And every single time I acted like that version, even when I didn't feel like it, I carved a new identity into my nervous system. Eventually, I became that person. 12 hours didn't feel impressive. It felt normal, expected, inevitable. 4. I rewired my emotional response to study. When you hear 12 hours of study, most people feel stress. I feel peace. Why? Because I linked studying with stillness, not pressure, not exams, but presence. I turned my desk into a sacred space, a battlefield where I became sharper, calmer, and more dangerous every day. I didn't see studying as a chore. I saw it as a training ground, a dojo, where my future self was being carved out with every minute I stayed locked in. 5. I made it a lifestyle, not a challenge. Listen carefully. If you treat 12-hour study days like a short-term sprint, you will burn out. But if you design your entire day around it, from the moment you wake up to the way you eat, walk, rest, and think, it becomes automatic. I wasn't doing study sessions. I was living inside a system designed for peak focus. My breaks were strategic. My meals didn't crash my energy. My sleep schedule was sacred. It wasn't study time. It was a way of being. And here's what people never expect. After a few months of doing this, I started feeling disgusted by wasting time. Scrolling felt like eating rotten food. Skipping study time felt like betrayal. Not because I was forcing anything, but because I'd been reborn. The lazy version of me was gone, burned, buried, replaced by someone who felt alive when learning, when building, when mastering. If you're waiting to feel ready, you'll never begin. If you think you need motivation, you'll stay weak. If you keep saying, "I could never do 12 hours," you're already hypnotized by failure. But if you kill the old version of yourself, if you delete the excuses and rewire your identity, if you decide that studying isn't a chore, it's who you are now, then you'll join the small group of people on Earth who actually understand what it feels like to be free from their own mind. You'll study for 12 hours a day and feel peace, purpose, and pride, not pain. The only question is, how long are you going to delay that version of yourself? You've heard it all. Now the real question is, what are you going to do with it? Will you close this video and scroll back into your comfort zone? Or will you actually start building the version of you who studies 12 hours a day like it's nothing? Because I'm telling you right now, that version of you already exists. He's not a fantasy. He's waiting. And every second you delay, you keep him in chains. So if you're ready to stop being average, ready to take control of your time, your mind, your life, then prove it. Start today. Not perfectly, just powerfully. Comment "I'm in" below, and let's begin the grind. No more waiting, no more weakness. You were built for this.